everybody, and welcome to another hobby cheating video. And this week I am excited. Uncle Adam and I's newest game, Rain in Iron, is out. This standalone, brutal sci-fantasy skirmish game allows you to take the role of either demons invading Earth or robots who are the only thing still left alive? On Earth. We are really excited about this. It's the first continuation of a story of a game we've done, carrying on from Rain in Hell, though of course this game is completely standalone and you don't need the previous game to play it. But that means I've got to get my robot force ready to go play against my demons. So today we're going to kit bash up and paint a fun robot for Rain in Iron. Let's get into it.
The strict technomancer that is Vinci V. Let us get to the technique and learn it Vinci V style.
As I said, Rain in Iron is out now. You can find everything about the game in links below, so please do go down there and check that out. It'll take you to snarlingbadger.com where there's all the links for everything you'd want to know about the game. Now, when we created Rain in Hell, I of course had my demon force and made that up, and I did some previous videos on painting demons. But I needed a robot force. So, since the robots that are left on Earth, there's no more humans, or at least seemingly so, that means we need to kit bash up some fun robots. And the robots of Rain in Iron can look more or less like whatever you want. So you can use your existing figs, or make something fun and new, or any 3D print. As usual, as with all our games, it's completely miniatures agnostic. I decided to grab some bits and sprues and make something fun. So let's head over to the desk and we're going to start with some assembly. Alright, well, the first thing to do is to get this bad boy assembled. And so, of course, that means that, I've got to get out all these crazy sprues and get to work. So I go through a lot of different things, pulling some pieces from various parts, like AdMech is very popular. I get a lot from that. But really, there's a little bit from the Space Dwarves as well. Just different kind of cool bits. Start placing them together, see what works, what doesn't. My real goal here is just to make something fun and interesting. I didn't really know what I was building until I built it. I started from the center torso, started finding interesting pieces I thought looked cool. I noticed this little interesting piece on the Space Dwarf kit, so I put that on for an arm, then attached a gun to it. Sure, why not? Gave him a cool arm from the other opposing arm from the AdMech kit. And as I was building him, I realized his torso was coming down to these thin little wires, and I thought it'd be super fun to give him a little wheelie trike. So eventually, what I ended up doing was finding these things that are, I guess they're not actually wheels from the Space Dwarves. They're actually I think, anti-grav pads or something like that, because you don't assemble them like a wheel. But I assembled them like a wheel, because why not? It's just fun and interesting. And eventually what we had is we have our little robot here. He's all assembled, and he's got his little wheels, and he's ready to go. So I think he's a fun little goofy looking guy. I like robots that look kind of weird and strange. This is a chance with all of our games, I hope, for people to express their creativity, to make something fun, to try something different. And so, my first robot is ready to go. With my goofy little robot boy ready to defend the Earth from the demon invaders, it's time to start painting him. Now, what I begin with is, of course, just getting him primed up black. And what I'm going to do here is just put on some metal. He's going to be mostly steel, and we'll show you how we break that up. So I start with some Vallejo metal color through the airbrush, just give him a nice all-over coat of this gunmetal, which is a nice sort of slightly blue steel color. I then take a little bit of a very nice dark blue-black, like a Payne's gray color, and shoot that from below. So a sort of nadial shadow, right? Or anti-zenithal, whatever you want to think, from below. And once I've got a little bit of that light shadow in place, this is very thin, I then take some silver and work from above. So very simple steps to just establish a gradient of the metal over the whole guy. Now, I'm not actually going to give him an all-over wash. I don't need to, because I shot a lot of the shadows from below. Actually, a lot of those lower recesses and lines are already dark. But I do take some Nuln Oil and just very carefully trace some of those upward-facing lines, panel lines, recesses, plates, edges, things like that, that may have gotten a little bit covered up in the silver that was shot from above. So, no problem. That's just knocking in a little bit of that Nuln Oil. Gives me a nice little shadow to work with. Okay. So now we've got our boy. He's all steel. He's looking real steel. starring Hugh Jackman. But what we've got to do, of course, is break that up. So really the lesson I want to impart upon you here is when you're working on a fig that is sort of fairly mono material. So like this guy, I could just leave him mostly steel, but then it's pretty boring. So what we want to do is we want to find interesting elements, and this is true from both an individual robot all the way up to like tanks. You run into this a lot, like vehicles and stuff, inorganic things. You want to make sure that you find those opportunities to break up the space. So I begin by getting out some white, and now this is actually some dark ivory from Pro Acryl, and I'm going to go ahead and just turn some of the plates that look like armor plates, I guess, white. Just a nice flat white that'll break that up. Okay? I'm going to base coat everything first just to get a sense of how much of these other colors I want to put on the miniature. Normally I would do individual layers and highlight and stuff like that, but we're going to just start with simple base coats now, see how he looks. So we get that white on there, on the different plates, pick a couple different front areas, good to go. Next up, he's got a lot of tubes. Like, he loves tubes. And so the idea here is I want to use a nice dark red. So I get out my a nice dark red here, as you can see from Pro Acryl, and we're just going to go ahead and cover up turn some of the tubes red, his eyes, just pick, again, a couple things. It's trying to stay either with like a glowing LED of what it would be or with an actual tube. So I'm just picking kind of different materials and turning them a color. Okay, so with that one out of the way, our next step is black. So I just get out this wonderful rubber black color. And here I'm going to handle the tires. He's got little wheels. Let's give him little tires, right? So we turn those black. I also do thin this down again, and like where I want to impress some deep shadows in some other places, I drop that in as well. But the main focus here is just on the tire, though I could do a couple of other areas if I wanted. Okay, feeling like that's all in a good place, I'm then going to go ahead and get out my Nuln Oil again. And what I want to do here is actually give a nice wash, all over wash to the reds. Because I want them darkened down more. I want the area in between the tubes to be really dark. I want the little tiny recessed detail in these little miniature tubes that he's got running between his arms and all that to have some shadow to them. That kind of thing. All right. One more base coat we're going to slap on there, which is the bronze tone. So I get out this nice bronze speed paint. It's going to work perfectly great over the already established metal silver color and give me a nice kickin' sort of copper bronze looking feeling. So here again, I just pick out some elements that look cool, like around his arm, on the gun, so on and so forth. Just pick things out over the whole miniature, turn them bronze. I do apply 2 good solid coats of the speed paint over the area just to make sure I get a nice high, but still very shiny, bright opacity of that. Okay, now with that on there, we're in a good place. Now we can start doing some actual highlighting, okay? So the white is pretty good. I do work in a little bit of bright ivory into the very high highlights of the white, just a little bit here and there, and then kind of make a 50-50 mix and connect those together. Nothing too complicated. It doesn't need to be anything too amazing. It's not really the color that's going to stand out. It's just meant to look kind of flat and white. Where we really want to kick is with the red. So with the red, I grab 2 very bright reds here that we can work with. And we're going to build our way up. So this fiery vermilion and then this very orange red. And here I'm going to really, fluorescent orange, just to really kick that up. So, and I'm going to do this very intentionally at the base of the tubes that are coming from his torso. And the eyes, his little LEDs, and then the center of all the other tubes to show kind of a heat in the middle where energy or something is moving between them. And you'll notice as I build up this highlight, it really does change your entire perception of the miniature. Because now we have this second area of really intense highlight. And that's sort of lesson number 2 when you're working with highly mono sort of material figs, but especially when you're working with heavily metallic figs. Metallics quite naturally create a huge run of light because there's intense reflections and deep shadows because, that's what shiny things do. So by having some other areas also have some really intense contrast, it helps the eye move more easily around the figure, especially when you work with reds that the eye is naturally attracted to. So we put in those few spots of that punchy orange red, and it really does give us additional areas of interest that draw our eye and help the steel from stealing the show. Okay? All right. With that, I also take some warm brown. We want to add some nice soft shadows to the copper pieces. Nothing big there, just thin that down into a glaze. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and apply that as well to things like the earth. So I use a thicker version of it, paint the base, but as well I thin it back down, get it up on the tires, up on like the axle that's in between his little wheels. Just make sure that the earth itself has come up onto that area of the model. All right, with that out of the way, we really only have one last step, and that is getting out some nice red pigment and just slapping that around onto the earth, making sure that's worked in, and then slapping it on the tires with a wet brush. So this is a nice trick I like for these kind of tires and treads to get the pigment down in the recesses. You load your brush up, you take some pigment, move it out of, get it out on the surface, get a wet brush, dip it in, and then just kind of apply it, and then rinse it, get another get your brush full of water again, and sweep it all around so the water runs it into the recesses, and then just let it be. The water will all evaporate, the pigment will dry in the recesses, and it will look so credibly like recessed dirt. So, with that, he's basically good to go. So let's take a look at him. Here's how he came out. I think he looks, pretty fun. He's my first robot for my force. I'm really excited. Obviously, we're really excited about Rain and Iron. Like I said, it's the first time we've tried continuing on from a previous game. Though this is completely standalone, the story continues, but you don't need to own the previous one to know what happened. It gives you a chance to either continue playing your demons or to take the role of the robots who are defending Earth as these crazy demons invade from another dimension. It is really focused on fun, fast, sci-fantasy, brutal skirmish action, but it also has solo and co-op play, so you don't have to kill your friends, you can fight right alongside them, or all by yourself and go through the story that's in there. We're really excited for everybody to get this in their hands. I hope you do give it a chance and check it out. As I said, link is down below. If you want to support this channel, picking up that book is the greatest thing you can do. But there's other things. You can hit like and you can hit subscribe. That really does help other people find the videos, and I really appreciate it. Of course, in addition to our books down there, there's also affiliate links where you can pick up all your hobby supplies to paint your demons and robots for Rain and Iron. And of course, there's our Patreon, focused on review and feedback and taking your next step on your hobby journey. I want to say thank you so much for watching this one. Thank you so much in advance for checking out the game. And as always, we'll see you next time.